Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing well out there. Hope everybody's having a great week. I just want to first start off and say thank you to all of my subscribers out there. Thank you guys so much for the continued support. It means so much to me. And yeah, thank you guys once again. And if you haven't subscribed, I would highly recommend subscribing because I got a lot of great content coming out. All right, so let's get into today's video. So the purpose of my video, what I wanted to do today is hopefully help somebody out there, because I'm seeing so many posts on social media, on Reddit and LinkedIn, and people are recording themselves on TikTok and YouTube Shorts about how they've been applying. They've applied to hundreds of places, and it's been 6 months, and their unemployment's about to run out, and they still cannot land a job. And I've also seen people post about how they've been to 3, 4, 5 rounds of interviews just to be ghosted. And man, that's got to be so tough. And I personally know, I can count on one hand people that have been laid off that are also in the same situation. And I personally know 2 graduates who just graduated recently, and they still can't find jobs. My good buddy, well, he's not my good buddy, I just see him all the time at the gym. He graduated from Gonzaga. That's one of the top schools in Washington. And if you look on Google, the annual tuition to go to Gonzaga is $53,000 if you live on campus. And yeah, my buddy who works at the front office at the gym, he's been looking for over a year, trying to get into tech. He majored in computer science, and he still cannot find a job. And I feel so bad for him, because he's at the gym and he's wiping down machines and windows and having to just greet people all day. And he worked so hard because he thought he was gonna get a great tech job after graduating, and just hasn't happened for him. But even though the labor market, or the job market is really tough right now, don't ever forget that that we live in the greatest country in the world. And the economy goes in cycles. We're gonna have bad years, but then after that, we're also gonna have great years. Just like in 2008, we had the great financial recession. And after we got through that, we had the biggest economic boom, 10, 20 years after that. So don't lose hope, guys. And also, the economic data that came out on May 2nd regarding non-farm payrolls was actually really good. So hopefully it's a sign that the labor market is turning around. The economists were expecting the U.S. economy to only add 130,000 jobs in the month of April, but it was actually, the numbers were so good. It exceeded expectations. The U.S. economy added 177,000 jobs. So hopefully that's a positive sign that the U.S. economy is turning around. So before I became a truck driver, I was in corporate America for over 10 years as an accountant, and I was also in management. So I've been a part of a lot of interviews. I've interviewed a lot of candidates, and I've just been a part of that process for a while. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents. What would Def, what would you do if you got laid off and you had to look for a job? And the first thing I want to tell you guys is please be kind to yourself. You guys have to be kind to yourself and stop beating yourself up. I can't imagine how demoralizing it is to apply to put in hundreds of applications and still not be able to find a job after 6 months or a year, or to go through 4 or 5 interview rounds and get ghosted. I mean, it's got to be one of the worst feelings in the world, especially if you have kids. But please be kind to yourself, because it's not your fault. It's not your fault that the cost of living has gotten so high. People are choosing to stop spending money and it's affecting companies' profits, and they're having to let go of people. It's not your fault that freaking McDonald's meals are $16, and so people are choosing not to eat there. And that's why McDonald's is having to lay off a lot of people at their corporation. And it's not your fault that so many companies these days are choosing profits over their workers. I mean, isn't it crazy? It's so freaking crazy how, on CNBC or when you watch these other news outlets, whenever a company does mass layoffs, their stock prices go up 5%, creating millions and millions of dollars for their shareholders. I mean, how messed up is that? And it's not your fault that there's no more loyalty. You could give 10 years of your life to a company, and in an instant they would rather outsource your job to India or Latin America, where somebody will do the same job for half the salary. So please understand that it's not your fault, and like I said, please be kind to yourself. So what would I do if I got laid off? The first thing you guys have to do, I'm talking to the people that have applied to hundreds of places and they still can't find a job after a year. You have to lower your expectation. Now, obviously, continue to apply to, to an adjacent position at another company. But at the same time, you have to lower your expectation or your standard. And what do I mean by that? So I was an accountant before, and the progression of an accountant is first you're an accountant, then you're a senior accountant, then you become a manager, and then you're a senior manager or a director, and then you become a partner. So say that you're a senior manager or a director. I would go ahead and start applying to, a manager position or even a senior accountant position. That saying comes to my mind: you have to take a step back sometimes to take 2 steps forward. And, you have to put your ego aside. And I would, if I couldn't find a job for 6 months to a year, I would just bite the bullet and take a lower position, just to get your foot in the door. And once you're there, work your tail off, exceed. And because you were in a higher position, because you were in a director role or maybe a management role, you know what to do. You can automatically go in, hit the ground running at a company. You know the work, and just exceed for a year and work hard, and then you'll get promoted, hopefully in a year or two, to the same position you were before. And I actually know a person that did this. There's one of the smartest girls I know. She graduated from UC Berkeley, and that is a really, really good school. She was laid off of, she was at X or Twitter at the time when they did mass layoffs. They believe they got rid of like 80% of their positions, and she could not find a job for a year. And what she did was she lowered her expectations, or she took a lower position. And once she redid her resume, she started getting interviews. I believe she had an interview with a company in New York, Denver, and Austin. And, the interviews started coming in when she did that. So, it sucks that you work so hard to get to a higher position, but like I said, sometimes you got to do what you got to do, especially in this tough job market. And the next thing, guys, is you have to network like your life depends on it. And I know you're stressed out, you're demoralized, and you're beating yourself up, but you have to get outside and you have to network. Since you guys have a lot of free time right now, maybe it's time to pick up a new hobby. For example, so a few weeks ago, I started golfing, and I am absolutely terrible at it, but I have been going to the driving range 2 to 3 times a week. I go to this place in Woodinville called Woodinville Sports Center, and I'm usually there every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday with my buddy. And because I started golfing, with my buddy, he started bringing his friends out. So I started meeting more people. And guess who, one night, guess who's hitting balls in the stall next to us? It was, me and my buddies were golfing, we're having a good time talking. And the guy next to us just started chiming in, like complimenting my buddy who's really, really good at golf. And we started talking to the guy next to us, and guess where he works at? We got to know each other, and he let us know that he works at Expedia. He's the marketing manager there. So shout out Antonio. And guess what I'm going to do when I see him again? I'm going to start building that relationship. And maybe after the second or third time I see him, I'm going to ask if he wants to go play a round of golf and start building that relationship. And, I wouldn't let anybody know that I recently meet or that I just meet. Hey, I got laid off. I'm looking for a job. Build that relationship. And then if they ask, hey, yeah, I got laid off. But once you build that relationship, maybe they can help you get your foot in the door. But like I said, you have to get out and start doing stuff, start meeting people. And I would highly recommend golf or pickleball. Pickleball is really big in the state of Washington. And that's a great way to meet a lot of people, get some exercise, get some fresh air. And if not, maybe there's book clubs or chess clubs, and just start networking, guys. You have to network, because those days where you just sit at home, go on Indeed.com and hit that click apply, those days are long gone. Because I talked to my friend that is a recruiter at a tech company, and he says that every job he puts up, within the first hour, he will get hundreds of applications. After 48 hours, it's at 2,000. So long gone are the days where you could just sit back in your house, click a few buttons and apply to positions. Everybody and their moms is doing that right now. If it hasn't worked for you in the last 6 months or a year and you're still unemployed, I don't think it's going to continue to work. And so what you need to do is get out there and network like your life depends on it. And another place where I've been able to network and meet a lot of people would be at church. So I am a Christian, and I do a lot of volunteer work on my days off. And at the church I go to, it's a very large church. It has over 1,000 members there. It's in Kirkland, Washington. And at that church, I do a lot of volunteer work. I'll actually work at their cafe, at their coffee cafe, and I'll also help out, since I'm a trucker, I'll drive their CDL shuttle bus. And that way I've met so many people. Like, my contacts list has grown by 50 contacts within the last 6 months when I started volunteering. And it has been so awesome. I've met so many people from different backgrounds. And, I've met so many people that are in tech, so many people that are in the medical field, so many people that are in corporate America. I was also able to join a community group, and we meet every Tuesdays, and we'll talk about the sermon, have like a little Bible study, and they become my family. And I remember there was he's not there anymore, but there was one guy who during the time we met, he got laid off. He was in sales, and immediately another member was like, hey, I think my company's hiring, and if you want me to refer you, just let me know. So guys, I'm not trying to push Christianity on anybody, but if you're a Christian, you haven't been to church in a while, maybe start going to church. But don't go to church, dressed up with a folder full of your resume and start handing out your resumes. Don't do that. Meet people organically and start building your relationship there. And I can't recommend, going to a good church. And, maybe this might be a good time to get right with the man above, and if you're not a Christian, maybe if you're a Muslim or a Buddhist, go to your place of worship there, and start volunteering and serving the community. That is a great way to meet a lot of people. All right, so lastly, This is, anybody can do this, but this is mainly towards if you're single, maybe if you're, to my younger viewers, I would highly recommend, if you've been laid off and you're getting unemployment right now, put everything in storage and move back home and try your hardest to start your own business, do something online. There are so many young people right now just crushing it in life. There are for an example, there are two Korean guys that I follow. I think they're probably like 24 or 25. And they did exactly that. They live with their parents and they were able to start a shipping company or drop shipping. And they are killing it in life. They became multi-millionaires, and there's a viral video of them where they retire their parents. Man, how awesome is that? Look at this layoff, or if you were laid off, look at it as a blessing if you're in this situation, to be able to go back home if you're able to and just start something online, whether it's drop shipping or opening an Amazon store or something on social media. There's so many young people just killing it out there, making millions of dollars. If I were you, if you're able to, I would do exactly that and just give it everything you got, because a 9-to-5 will always be there, I promise you. How awesome would it be if one of you guys out there became a success story like that, and to be able to live a life that only people can dream of, and to drive your dream car, and to retire your parents. So if you have that opportunity, like I said, a 9-to-5 will always be there. Have you guys seen those videos where there's super successful people, and this guy will run up to him and ask them, hey, how are you able to afford this type of Ferrari or Lamborghini? What do you do? Not one person ever said, oh, I got a bachelor's degree in accounting and I work a 9-to-5. Man, if you're able to move back home and give this everything you got. So yeah, those are my suggestions, my recommendations. Once again, lower your expectations, lower your salary requirements. If you're making 200,000, if you were making 200, maybe lower it to 120, and network like your life depends on it. And what I would recommend most would be my last suggestion. If you're able to, move in back home and try to find something that you can do on your own and become super successful, because a 9-to-5 will always be there. And oh man, so many people hate working for corporate America. So yeah, guys, my heart goes out to anybody out there that can't find a job right now. Hopefully the labor market is turning around. A lot of economic data that's coming out is a lot better than it was. So yeah, I'm gonna end the video here. Shout out to all my truck drivers out there living that DEF life. Thank you guys so much for what you guys do, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.